Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of an Unlikely Friendship, the podcast. I don't think anyone's listening, although I recently found out today that my sister's friend listened to like 2 minute snippets and apparently I laughed too much, but I don't think there's too much I can do about it. I'm Katie again, and I'm here with Matt.
Did they also mention how many times you say like and 'Cause
No? Oh my God. Um, Well, anyways, today I think our goal today is to talk about our quarter life crises. I think we mentioned it briefly before in like our introductory episode, how like we're going through that, but I think we just kind of wanted to go into a little bit more detail.
and I guess we're kind of around the right age for our quarter life crisis because once again, Katie's 24, I'm 23, and ideally, if we live to around 100 years old, this will be our quarter life crisis. But
But I mean,
I mean,
it's not defined by age, right?
quarter life is a quarter of how much it's gonna live. But I don't know, like realistically, how long do you actually want to live for? I mean, like realistically, I don't think I want to live to 100. I think I'll be happy if I hit 85-ish.
I
And
think
like,
that's probably a good age. I don't think, unless I somehow manage to keep myself like very healthy and like fit.
I think like I don't know like where my milestones would be, right? Like I think I'd want to live up to having grandkids and maybe see my grandkids get married. But I mean, my great grandkids, I don't think I would care enough. It's like they're so far gone that like like at that point, like I just don't know like what I'd be living for, I guess.
I don't think most people take such good care of their body that by the time they're like 90, they're still like really good and like in good health and stuff. Realistically, most people don't. Also, I mean, getting sick or like some sort of long
Yeah,
term or say what's the word, more serious like disease or something is more
like
likely.
chronic illnesses,
Yeah, a
like
chronic
just things that
illness
last. Yeah,
or like a heart attack or a stroke or something by the time
yeah.
you're freaking like 90 years old is probably fairly likely, right?
Especially like at least for my family, it definitely runs in my family. I think heart attacks are pretty common. So I realistically I want to live to 80, but I'll just say it on record now. So Katie, if it's at my funeral and I die when I'm like before I'm 60, just play this clip and be like, Matt already knew that he was gonna die before 60. I mean, it's yeah. I don't. I hope I do live longer than 60. Like I want to die when I have no regrets. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I don't know how that's gonna happen or like when that's gonna happen.
It's basically impossible, but I
Or like
mean,
as few regrets as possible.
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of like your family history, dude, has anyone made it beyond like a certain age or
I mean, I don't know exactly like how, I actually don't know how old my parents are either. Like
what?
I know I know the general age. Like I can definitely calculate it because I know the
Oh,
years they were
yeah,
born,
yeah. Okay.
but like, I just don't know the actual. God, I think he is. No, actually, no. He's. I don't think he's 60 yet. Maybe I'm remembering the years wrong.
Probably pretty close though. My dad is around 60. I
Yeah.
know their years too, but I don't know their exact ages. I barely know mine, okay?
Yeah. No. He's definitely not. I think he's. I think my dad's maybe like 59.
Close enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just really bad at math. But yeah, I think he's turning 59 this year. Yeah. I'd say track record wise, 65 sounds like a good year for me to.
That's
if
like
I could make it back.
retirement age.
Yeah. Hopefully, I retire sooner than that. Like I just either marry rich or just make enough money to retire before I'm 65. 65 is a long time to work towards. But I guess at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where like once you retire, you want to keep working and just doing something just on the side because or else it just feels very empty. At least that's what I think.
Like, what's the point of life again?
Yeah. So maybe I'll still be working by then or just dead. But
I don't
yeah,
know. I
just play
feel
that
like,
clip at my funeral.
okay, well, hopefully that's not too soon, but
Yeah, dude. Oh man, if I die now, I'm gonna be so sad.
uh Anyway, I think what's the point of life really seems to be a recurring theme throughout the
Yeah.
stages of life, which we'll talk about today, right? Or no, I
Yeah,
think,
no, we can talk about that. I think that's kind of a quarter life crisis is us trying to figure out what we're actually supposed to do with our life. I mean, you're done school now. I'd consider grad school not too much like school. Like, I think this is kind of my career path now.
oh, interesting.
But yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, it's called grad school.
okay, fine, right? I'm still in school and I guess I still have to do some stuff. But like, I think it's just different because I guess university is also your own choice. It's not like you have to do it by like government standards because you have to go through at least high school. But it's almost expected that you do university nowadays, I would say. Like, I think it's more uncommon to not go to university than it is to go to university. But I'd say grad school is really your own choice. So like that's what I mean. Like it's kind of different in the sense that like I feel like if I didn't go to university, my parents would have forced me or like a lot of external pressure for me to go. But there was no pressure for me to go to grad school except kind of like my own choice. So I guess that's why it's a bit different because I do feel like it's something that I chose to do and not like was expected of me.
All
But
right, that makes sense. Um,
that always makes sense.
Not always like your theory that you aren't going to talk about apparently.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
Even, it's because even you realize there's lots of issues with your
There's a
theory.
lot of flaws in my theory of life, but I still hold true that, well, at least I'm still gonna believe in it until I'm not believing in it.
Like, have you told anyone and had
I
that person be like, oh, yeah, that's a great theory. It makes lots of sense without being like,
think I've told my sister, my girlfriend, you, and now like another friend, so like 4 people. And
yeah.
I don't think I've gotten good reviews on what I think it is. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things where like if it makes me happy and it helps me kind of
Yeah.
navigate through life, it's whatever.
I mean, if it works for you, then that's great. But I don't think you got a single good review, did you?
I only told 4 people. I still have a lot of chances. I can wow somebody out there. I'm sure one day I'm gonna tell someone and they're gonna be like, "Damn, that's a good theory." And by that time, maybe I would have thought about it a little bit more. So then it'll be more well-rounded and not just kind of out of the blue.
It's got a lot of holes, so it's gonna need a lot of work, but okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of time to think about it. Hopefully, I
Yeah, well, anyway, I guess for me right now, I guess maybe it's more so my quarter life crisis than Matt's. I think Matt, his life recently has gotten exponentially better in the last few weeks because I don't know, he's figured some things out.
I think it's kind of right now. Like I've decided to do my PhD, so at least I know the next 4 years is I kind of know what to expect. So like I'm sure after that I'll go through another thing where it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like where am I going? Like, but I mean for now I'm kind of just kind of stay in that little bubble.
So, I mean, he's in a better place than I am, but I mean, if we rewinded a couple weeks back, I think we were both feeling, at least he was feeling more lost. I'm probably still about the same.
I think it's because we were both kind of lost that it kind of just like we're in like a positive feedback that like I don't know anything and then you don't know anything and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like we just start spiraling down that path. But yeah, Katie's not a very good influence.
I'm a great influence.
Yeah.
I maybe don't give the best advice sometimes, but sometimes it's not serious advice, okay?
There's one time, Katie, oh man, what was your advice?
Oh no.
You should just die or something?
No!
Like all your problems would be solved if you were just dead
That
or
was
something?
not advice. It was
It was just
merely,
the worst advice.
it wasn't
Jeez.
advice. It was a mere fact that I'm just saying, technically, if you died, you wouldn't have your problems. I didn't say to go die. I just said, technically, if you died, you wouldn't
That's
have
what
any
I'm just saying.
problems.
Like, Katie's not the best friend. Like in the sense where if you're feeling down and you just talk to someone who's like, wow, you should maybe just try killing yourself. Like that would solve all your problems. I'm just saying it wasn't the best advice to tell someone.
It wasn't
who's feeling
advice.
down.
I also would definitely only say that to certain people who I know
certain
can
people
tell.
that she wants to kill.
No.
That's right. If I die anytime soon, Katie is prime suspect.
No,
#1.
literally Matthew has said to me multiple times that he's going to kill me. So let's have that on
That's
the
a joke.
record.
I'm gonna cut that out.
Oh, I forgot you're editing this week.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, I do feel generally a little bit better in terms of mood or something right now compared to a couple weeks ago. But I would still say that I'm very much feeling my quarter life crisis because obviously, I mean, my commencement is actually in 2 days, my virtual commencement.
Yeah.
For my official graduation, I guess. But I think I technically qualify as a graduated student now because my application's been approved and it's being sent in the mail. I hope the mailman does not bend it, but I've seen pictures of that.
But okay, are they just giving you a sheet of paper, or they give you that little booklet, right?
I have no idea.
Because like my degree came in like a little book. They're not like a book, but do you know what I mean? It's like a folder.
Yeah, but you received yours in person at the actual ceremony, right?
Yeah, but I assume they're not just gonna mail you a piece of paper and be like, all right, good luck. I hope they at least, well, I don't know. It'd probably be cheapest for them just to send a piece of paper.
Yeah, but that's stupid. Imagine it just comes all folded.
Yeah, it's not even like a large envelope. It's literally just like a normal envelope. They just fold it into thirds, and it's not even like perfect thirds because it's someone who like fold like 1,000 of these degrees.
Yeah. So I guess like I was just talking to Matt about this before we started recording today's podcast, but technically I've graduated, so like my next logical step is to look for work, right? But I think I actually might just like take a little bit of a break. I don't know how long. Like I think at the most I would do until the end of summer because I mean I have actually been going to school for like nonstop for the last how many years, and I've done many years of summer
nonstop.
school
I think I remember a time you took a summer off.
Summer.
I didn't take summers off.
You didn't take any summers off? I did so many years of summer school.
Okay, but I didn't take any summers off except the summer between my undergrad and grad school.
You mean like from the time you started university?
Yeah. I always had either a co-op during the summer or I took course loads in the summer. Yeah.
The only summer I took off was the one where I went traveling. But if you think about it this way though, we've spent our entire lives just in school so far.
You know how, at least when I was a kid, they would always be like, oh man, you're going to look fondly back to the times when you were in school. And I'm scared that's actually true.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm scared you're going to be 40 years old, have like 3 friends, because obviously, like, I assume once you start having more responsibilities and like just having to raise a family, like you're going to lose connections. And then you're just going to think back to the times where you're in high school and like you're just all eating lunch together and like you had like 20 friends that you could like actually talk to normally. And then, yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah, but even if you say that, even now, you don't do that. Like, you don't, it's not the same as back in high school anymore when you see all these same friends every day and you can talk with like 20 people a day. Even now, like, I don't talk to that many people.
But I'm scared it's going to get worse. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially if you don't like your job or you don't like the city you're living in or something like that. I can see a future where it's actually super miserable. I hope like if you have kids and stuff, you're like, oh man, like it's so worth it because yeah, I don't have as many friends, but like my kids are like worth it. I hope like my good years are still ahead of me and not behind me because I mean we are only a quarter way through of our lives, so hopefully it's still ahead.
Dude, that would be so miserable. We have reached our peak already.
Peaked in high school and just been downhill ever since. But
yeah, I mean, for sure, my parents or older figures, I think also my dad, have told me that once you start a family, like, yeah, you basically aren't going to hear from your friends anymore because everyone's family. And if you
have a daughter like Katie, it's not even worth it.
What the heck? You should be thankful you have a friend like me.
I think it's the opposite way.
Hey, you're the one who's like, hey, I can use you for loans, basically.
That's because your credit limit's insane. I cannot believe they gave you that much credit.
See, I'm a very responsible. I'm a fantastic person. That's why. But anyway.
You buy so much stuff. They're like,
too
man.
much money.
Yeah. Like, wow, she maxed her credit cards again. Got it? No.
No, that's actually bad for your credit score. But
Yeah,
anyway.
no.
Yeah, so I guess I think I have decided I'm going to take at least a little bit of break. I haven't decided how long. But yeah, the next logical step is like to look for work. But it's kind of confusing and I feel just more lost about it because I'm not sure what I want to do. Because I think, did I mention it before in the podcast how I realized fairly recently that like I had a previous co-op as a software developer, and I think I realized not too long after that that I don't think I want to be a software developer, even though my entire undergrad I spent thinking like that's what I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to be. And then in this very last, basically when I'm graduating, I realized I don't think that's what I want to do. So it's just like, what the hell?
I think it's kind of normal though, right? In the sense that they say throughout your life, right, you change your careers like what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I don't actually remember the number, but it's common that you change your career path. And I'd say kind of at least now you know that you don't want to do it, because obviously it's not ideal because you just got your degree in comp sci, but it's better to know now that you don't like it than figure it out 20 years later and you're just like miserable every day. But at the same time, I think we also briefly talked about it, like the money is pretty hard to give up. Right? Like, you know, you're supposed to make a certain amount with your degree. So like, would you be willing to take a pay cut for a job that you would like better? And I think
that's the thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, like right now, because we don't have any real responsibility in the sense that we're not raising a family, like taking a pay cut for doing something you like might not be the worst.
And the other thing is, like I've mentioned this to Matt before, but like now that I got paid pretty well at my last co-op, right? And it's like now that I've had that, I feel like if I take at least a big pay cut, it just would be like a huge step backwards, and I don't think I'd be willing to do that. Like I think a little bit of a pay cut is understandable because obviously like different sectors and different roles generally get paid differently, right? But I think if it's something where I'm like going from half the salary I was making before, that's just not really okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my co-op paid about a third of what your co-op, almost. Like obviously I got paid a little more than a third, but pretty much it's not a good field to be in science. Let me be honest to anybody who's thinking about a science degree, and it's not the money maker. You know, you really have to enjoy what you're doing.
Okay, which is insane though, because I feel like a lot of, especially like Asian parents, are always like science. Like,
I mean, it's
definitely
because
science
definitely
over
you
art.
can still make a lot, right? But I'd say at least the co-op positions were absolutely, like, they would pay you minimum wage, and it was kind of not expected, but I'd say even, I guess I can name them, right? Like BC Cancer Research and stuff like that for co-ops, it was minimum wage. And I think it's because they can say it's better for your experience kind of thing. But I'm sure like if you actually worked there, they're not going to give you minimum wage. But their co-ops, their co-ops were definitely minimum wage.
Okay. But I actually honestly don't really know what sort of jobs you aim for with like a degree in biology or physics.
I think biology is harder in the sense that unless you're doing like human biology, like physiology and stuff like that, that's obviously you're going the med school path, or there's probably other paths, but I think most people go into healthcare. But definitely I would say, and physics, I'm sure you could get some sort of engineering job, maybe, question mark, I don't know. I think there's definitely a difference between engineers and physics, right? Because physics I think is more theoretical, where engineering is actually more practical. But I mean, one of my lab mates got a degree in physics, I believe. But now he's working in the chemistry lab, so it's still transferable.
A lab mate that you see on the daily.
Yeah, Yeah. So biology, I would say, is definitely just harder. If you want to become like an animal biologist or something like that, I can see. I don't know who would hire animal biologists, except I guess the Vancouver Aquarium, which I think is shutting down. I don't know
Are they
what happened.
still? I don't know. I think
I don't
they're,
know either.
I'm not sure. But, when you say though that like you can see a future where it's not a good one, but if you were like looking back when you're 40 or whatever and you're like, man, I miss those were the good days back when you were in school. Do you think that is actually like a realistic possibility that you would miss school like that, or that it is a possibility, but you don't think it's like likely?
I think no matter what, there's pros and cons of everything, right? And I think no matter what, I'll miss it, right? I mean, I already miss some aspects of, even say elementary school was fun,
Um,
right? You were just so carefree, right? Your biggest problem was, I don't even remember having a problem. Maybe like some kid called me a name or something, but it was just like, I look back and I already think, wow, I wish I could be that carefree and truly, and not be like irresponsible carefree, but just actually just carefree because there was no responsibility. And I know that's something I'll never get back. And I'm not even, I guess it's not even a bad thing, right? Because you have to grow up. You have to start being mature. But yeah, I'd say, I think no matter what, even just because I've had good times at school, in high school, middle school, and everything, that I think no matter what, I'll look back and think of them fondly. I don't know if I'll be like, man, I wish I went back, right? Because I hope when I'm 40, I'm happy with where I'm at and who's around me and stuff. Because I think a lot of the times it's kind of your own outlook in life that makes you happy or not, right? If I'm feeling bad, it's going to be worse, but hopefully I'll be feeling good and thinking positively.
yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it a couple times. I do. I already miss being a kid because you don't have problems. Like your biggest problem is what, like, I don't know, maybe your friend is mad at you or something. Like, I don't
Mm.
know. Like, it's because you're so young and you don't, like we've said before, we don't know much now, but we knew even less as a kid, right? Like, you don't have any responsibilities whatsoever. You don't have to really make any big decisions or anything. And literally as you get older, it's just like you realize things and there's more responsibility and it just becomes like, God damn.
Yeah, and like no matter what, it's kind of increasing responsibility as you go. And but it's not even that bad of a thing, right? I mean, because if you compare to back then when we were younger, you couldn't drive. No one would trust you because you're a kid. But now I think we are old enough that, well, hopefully, like people respect your opinions more because you're no longer just a dumb little kid who thinks the world is like white or black. You realize like
Everything's
there's a lot of,
gray now.
yeah, it's just a lot of gray. But yeah, I mean, just have to keep going, I guess.
But see, I think I do agree with you in terms of that. Like, I think pretty much all of elementary, middle school, high school was generally pretty fun. Like, I enjoyed it. I pretty much have mainly fond memories looking back at those times. I can't really say the same for my university experience. I mean, obviously, I think I'm partially to blame for like how I approached it, but at the same time, university was very different from high school, and it's just completely different, really. Like, you have lectures instead, and everyone has different schedules, and there's so many more people, and it's not like with high school or whatever. You see the same people, the same group of people every day, pretty much, and everyone has the same schedule. I found it way easier to like. I found it very hard to meet and talk to people in university because of that. Every class I had was different people. You don't even necessarily sit in the same spot every lecture, right? And I don't know. I also just really, like Matt knows this, I really don't like, I like learning. I do like if you taught me something interesting or whatever, I do like learning about it. But learning in the form generally that most classes are taught at like UBC, which is where I went,
Dude,
it
don't throw
didn't
shade on
resonate.
UBC. You didn't get your degree yet. They can still take it back.
You're the one who told me to put in my, what is it, the like commencement video? What was it? Thanks for nothing, UBC.
Can I get a refund, please?
I don't think they would have put that in, probably.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have people to screen
Yeah, they
it
have to
and
screen
see
it. There's no way. So many people are gonna say something dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But it's not like I can think of a better system.
I lost my train of thought. I was gonna jump in.
What about the education system, about UBC, about how the classes are run, about how I like to learn?
Oh yeah, no, how you like to learn? No, there was one part where I do actually agree with you. I mean, there was one time you asked me about my project and what I was doing, and I felt like you were actually genuinely interested in that. You know,
Yeah.
some people asked, and I try to keep it really brief because obviously I think a lot of people just ask like, oh, what are you researching? And it's like, oh, like I try to keep it brief because I know no one really has the attention span because I don't think anyone really cares, right? But yeah, I was like, wow, like at least to me, I felt like wow, like there was at least some sort of interest. But yeah.
No, I generally do. Like, I think the more knowledge, the better. I do like to know things. I think it's super useful. I mean, not everything is useful to know, but more knowledge is better than less,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if it's a topic that I find interesting, then I'm like totally cool to learn about it. And I just find for me, maybe it's just like something more hands-on or more practical, maybe. Or like a lot of lectures are so dry and boring, and it's like hard to sit through it. Definitely, like one of my favorite classes was one of the EOS classes I took, the Earth and Ocean Science. I think for one, the prof was actually funny and he was super engaging and he actually made the material interesting. Probably if a different professor taught it, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun to learn. But like, you know, I will say there were a lot of times throughout my university career where I fell asleep in class, and his class was actually like it held my attention, and like I actually liked paying attention and listening to what he had to say, you know. It's actually very interesting and it, you know, makes you want to know, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where because you have so many core classes that you have to do, it's impossible that every class is super interesting. I mean, I'd say I fell asleep for a lot of like my molecular biology courses just because it's a lot of memorization. So they just talk a lot about enzymes and what they do. And it's like, I'm not that interested, especially kinetics and stuff. If they talk about like, oh, enzyme kinetics, like I didn't pay attention a lot of the times, which I guess is kind of my downfall now because I don't know as much as I should. But yeah, I mean, just some classes just aren't as interesting. And like, I think there's very few classes that I was super interested the whole way through too, because I took an evolutions course because I was like, oh wow, I've always been kind of intrigued by it. But I'd say maybe like the first half of the course, I was actually like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then it got to like, I think for one class, we were talking about the evolution of bird eggs or something. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? Like, why do we go onto something so specific about bird eggs? And like, I just had no interest. Yeah. So like, I've kind of fell asleep during like those classes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of sad that like most of my classes I felt very much like I struggled so hard to pay attention. I think a lot of the times it is the prof, but sometimes it is also the material. I think I actually considered doing like an EOS combiner just because I think I ended up taking 3 in total. One was online, EOS classes, but the 2 that I took in person, I really enjoyed both of them. For one, all of the, not all, but some of my most interesting and fun profs were those EOS professors.
Yeah.
They got the good profs. It makes such a huge difference. I don't know why, like, oh God, like some profs are just so awful and they're just like you don't want to listen at all. But yeah, I don't know, like even your stuff, I don't basically know nothing about any of it. My chemistry knowledge goes up to like first year chemistry and honestly I've forgotten like all of it.
I'll be honest. I TA first year chemistry and I forget most of first year chemistry.
Yeah, I don't remember. All I remember is orbitals Like, I just remembered there's something called orbitals and different shells, but I don't remember much beyond that.
One day we can go over it, but it's
You just
definitely.
said you did.
Okay, I had to review it to teach them, right? Like, it's not like I was like, okay, I don't know it, so we're just gonna go through it together. But so it's just a pain to review. But yeah. Anyways, we were talking about quarter life crises. Maybe we're hitting a quarter life crisis because we can't focus on like a single thing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, this is just how I am.
Yeah, that's why you're having a crisis. But yeah,
An entire life crisis.
But yeah, I think look, I think we mentioned briefly, but we were just talking about how we realized we don't really know anything, and kind of that led to us thinking that no one really knows anything. I don't want to pinpoint a single thing, but when I was starting to look for my co-ops and fixing my resume, there was just a lot of uncertainty with writing a resume. Kind of what's the right format to do it? What's the design? What do you put first? What do you put like last? Do you include these minor things and stuff? And all of a sudden there was just so much ambiguity. And that's when you kind of realize, okay, like there's no real formula for success, if that makes sense. Whereas I'd say during elementary school to high school, if you just study, put in the work, generally you'd get a good grade, and it was very systematic. Whereas all of a sudden, and obviously in real life, it's not as linear as that. You could be the best candidate in like tech wise, like you're the smartest person for the job, but your personality is just awful, so you're not gonna get it. But in like school, as long as you're smart, you really do get a lot of opportunities, but in real life, that doesn't translate completely.
Yeah, I mean, that thing you said about resumes is very applicable to me right now. I'm struggling with that. I'm like, I don't know if my resume is any good. I don't know if this is the best format. Should this section be here or this section be here? And it's like, there's so many different resources on the internet and they all say something different. And it's like, well, I don't freaking know. And it's like, literally, it just seems like no one could possibly know. Like, I think you learn more as you mature and you experience more things, but everyone has different experiences and everyone has different preferences and everyone has a different way of doing things, and it's just like everyone's just figuring things out as they go along, so no one really knows anything. I think that's sort of the realization we came to. Also, though, on the sort of note where Matt was saying about like going through school now, is that I can't remember if we've mentioned this before, but the huge thing is that up until this point, it's like pretty much everything's been decided for you. I mean, it's a little bit different for you. You're in grad school, but up until this point, university, undergrad, graduation, it's like everything was laid out for me, sort of. I mean, even graduating.
You get to choose what courses, but you still have to do a bunch of the core ones. And
that's pretty much it. But now that I'm graduating and my next step is to look for work, it's like I don't freaking know what I'm supposed to do. Like, it's just so gray and it's totally up to me, but I just don't even know. I don't even know what I like. And I'm like, how do I even figure that out, So it's just, everything's too gray.
But I guess if we were to look on the positives, I mean, if nobody knows anything, we're kind of on the right track. I mean,
that is a great quote.
Because it's just kind of, there's something called the paradox of choice, right? Where if you have too much choice, it actually makes you kind of more sad because there's just so much you can do and so much you can be that you'll never experience everything. But it's kind of nice that we do have at least some choice. I mean, I think right now that you don't want to be a software developer, and you have the choice to not be a software developer. There's no one actually forcing you to be like, hey, Katie, you did your degree in this, you have to become a software developer. And I'd say mainly it is also internal pressures, right? You're saying about how you don't want to get paid significantly less and stuff, but that's an internal thing, right? It's not like your parents are saying, oh, you have to make this much money or else like you're going to be a failure. And no one's saying that in real life either, right? But it's just like an internal pressure where I definitely understand why you would feel bad if all of a sudden you just not making up to your potential.
I mean, the other thing too is that I just don't know anything. That's the recurring theme, but like literally, see, I say I don't want to be a software developer, but it's like not even with 100% certainty. Wouldn't it be funny if in 10 years I'm like literally a software developer?
I mean, you might be.
Yeah, it's possible because I mean, technically I only have one co-op experience as a software developer, and I am thinking like, maybe it was just that I didn't like being a developer there in that one company, in that one role. Maybe it'll be different somewhere else. But when I think about it and I think about why I didn't like it, I mean, it seems like a mix of things, and I do think that it's aspects of the job of software developer that I don't really like too much. Mm-hmm. So I do think that role isn't right for me. But who knows? I'm like, at this point, it's probably, like, obviously it makes more sense for me to be figuring this stuff out now than when I'm like 40 and I hopefully have kids and like have responsibilities to be like, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to just try something and take like a huge pay cut of only making 15, no, that's really low, 15 grand a year or whatever. Like, if anything, now
15 grand a year is under minimum wage.
Basically,
if you're making 15 grand a year, like, I'd have questions.
Well, my point is that, like, probably now, if anything, is the time where I can afford to take the risk of figuring things out. But it's hard. I just wish I knew what I wanted.
Yeah, and I guess, like, realistically thinking, right, if you have kids, I assume you're married, and hopefully it's like you guys are together. I mean, that's something you can discuss with your partner, right? Like, maybe you can afford to take a pay cut because your partner's freaking loaded or something, right? Like, and you just discuss, right? If you're really miserable, it's like, hey, I want to try something new, and hopefully you guys have enough saved up, or like just kind of like, hopefully you won't have to be going through it alone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's going to be stressful no matter what, but ideally you'll have a partner there with you who hopefully has a more positive outlook on life than you do. but yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, man, I can just imagine just two very miserable people just continuously going down into a cycle. Yeah.
It's weird though, because when you think about it, I think generally I seem like a very happy person, but I actually am very like pessimistic and stuff. I don't know, it's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like the happiest people in the world are like the saddest ones, you know. Just have to laugh about something, right? You're just like, man, everything sucks. I might as well try to be happy.
Just laugh at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's super realistic that I would marry rich.
I mean, okay, maybe not marry rich, right? But let's say you start a software developer job, you meet another software developer, boom. Like, I think you can live on one income if you're, like, I still think you can do well with one income, because let's say you get $60K a year, right? I think that's definitely, like, you guys won't be super wealthy or anything like that, but $60K a year is definitely enough for two people to live off of. Right now,
in Vancouver?
I make way less than $60K a year, and I can live by myself-ish with roommates. But do you know what I mean? Like
it's survivable.
Yeah, no, I don't even say it's just survivable. I think you can actually live on $60K. Okay, I'm saying that right now because I don't have a lot of other expenses. Maybe not downtown Vancouver, your apartment suite or something, but definitely you'll be able to live.
I mean, I also feel like I'm sure everyone could do it, but it'd be hard for me to live. Like, you spend a lot less generally on things that aren't just living expenses.
That's
and
true.
Like, I think
I don't have
obviously less than me, but even I think you spend less than like the average person, I think, on just like random.
At least right now, I think I probably do. I don't really buy anything. Oh, I'm thinking of buying a couple games because the Steam Summer Sale is happening soon. But even then, it's not. I wouldn't say I spend a lot of money on things that I want. Just
Yeah,
because I don't
you
think
get
there's a lot of things that I want. Like I want food, and that's pretty much like my biggest like expense is food.
yeah.
So
Like, I don't know, I think out of everyone I know, you probably spend the least on stuff in general. Because even compared to my coworkers, the juniors, like my ex, they spend definitely more than you do on
they
just
also
like,
make more money than I do. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm still a student, and like even when I was working in my co-op, right, that my pay wasn't anywhere close to. But at the same time, like I don't have a lot of wants. Like I just don't want a lot of things. It's just I just buy what I need or what I think I need, and then I'm happy.
yeah.
I just
So, I mean, I think it'd be much harder for me or people
I'm
generally
very
to,
rich.
yeah. But yeah, I guess then something that I realized, I mean, I've sort of talked about it a little bit over the last few weeks with Matt, but also I really felt it today, and I mentioned it to him before this, but like today felt like one of those days that just felt really routine, and it just made me feel like, what is the point of life? That sounds super like depressing, but it literally, like today I got up and like I knew I was gonna be talking to Matt, so I made sure to do all my stuff, and like I got up, I obviously like brushed my teeth and stuff, then I worked out, I ate, I walked my dogs, I think that's pretty much all I did. But I mean, I didn't wake up that early, so
Yeah, maybe you should mention how early you or like when you wake up so everyone else can kind of generally understand.
I'm trying to fix it, but it's a lot better than it was like 3 weeks ago when I was getting up at like 5 p.m.
Yeah. She's waking up at around 3 p.m. now,
I
so
got up at 2:30 today. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Round of applause. I think what did you say once where I was just I think yeah, she was saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm like trying to get up at or
Oh yeah.
like 3 p.m. now or something." And I was like, "Wow, that's actually pretty impressive." But realistically, if anyone else told me that they're getting up at 3 p.m., I'd just be like, that's nothing to be proud of. But in Katie's case, it's kind of like, okay, you know what? I guess that is an achievement. But it's just like she sets the bar so low that I guess okay, 3 p.m. that's still better than like when she's like, oh yeah, I slept at what 6 a.m. It's like, okay, you know what? That's actually better than like 8 a.m. when she. So it's like, but yeah, you just set the bar so low that it's just. I guess I have to applaud you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's because my thing I just got so messed up.
You just have
uh,
no will to actually fix it. I feel like if I was at a situation where I was waking up at 3 p.m., I would fix it in a week.
it's like I do want to fix it, but I do find it very difficult. It is slowly getting a bit better. Like I have been going to sleep a little bit earlier and waking up a little bit
I feel
earlier.
like it got bad really quickly though. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it
all
did.
of a sudden it was like boom, this was your schedule. And I feel like you could do the same thing where all of a sudden you fix it, but it's been a very slow process. And like I feel like sometimes you make like a 2 steps forward, like 1 step back. And
It's
sometimes I
still
say
a step forward.
I know, but sometimes I'm gonna say it's the opposite. You take 1 step forward and like 2 steps back. And it's just like okay, I guess at the same time, I've told you before, if you take enough steps back, you could probably fix your sleep schedule by just completely reverting it. But yeah,
Yeah, but it's so weird though because I literally like the last few days I have been sleeping a bit earlier, but I still just feel so tired even after sleeping for 8 hours for some reason when I wake up. Like I don't know why that is.
it's definitely a thing, right? It's like sometimes if you don't sleep enough, you're tired, but if you sleep too much, you're also tired.
Yeah, but eight
And
hours is not too much,
and I guess
right?
technically you can use your Fitbit to track your like quality of sleep, right? Maybe you just suck at sleeping.
Like I honestly don't know why I just feel so tired when I should technically be like I did technically get enough sleep, but
Maybe you
yeah.
are iron deficient.
Like I
right?
got
Or
tested and it's not technically like I'm not anemic, but it's low.
yeah,
Yeah, so basically though, the point is today just felt like one of those days that just felt so routine. Like I woke up and then I did these things and then, oh, well, I showered. That's what I was missing. I walked my dogs and I ate and I exercised and I showered and then I'm back in my PJs and I'm like ready for bed and I'm like, what's the point of this? It just feels like I woke up, did a couple things and then it's time for bed again and it just seems like it's a cycle and I'm like, what is the point of this, you know?
I mean, I'm kind of gonna pull it to the next point. It's just kind of at what point will you be happy? Because obviously this routine, I mean, we live life because there's got to be a purpose, right? Like there's got to be something that you have to work towards. I hope that will make you happy.
I guess that's why we have goals, right? To give us a reason to
Yeah, because
exist.
yeah, and I guess if you do feel like you're stuck in a routine, right? Maybe like what is your goal? Like maybe take a quick look at that and just kind of redecide. Like I know we've talked a little bit, right? You want to start applying for jobs at the end of summer, right? So that means at least by the end of the summer you need to have your resume fixed, or at least like something, right, to work towards. And definitely there are times in my life where I felt very routine, that I was just doing the same thing over and over again. And what was the point? And I wouldn't say I have the answer now, right? Because I'd still say my life is still fairly routine. But I think it's important to just to make sure you do have someone to talk to, in the sense that it kind of breaks the routine, right? Because if you're talking to someone else, you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know, like it kind of adds like an element of uncertainty, if that makes sense. Like if I ever feel like I'm stuck in a routine, I try my best to break that routine. And the easiest way to do that is to meet up with someone, and not like someone specifically, but just to do something that I wouldn't normally do. So I haven't talked to X, Y, and Z in a while. So like, why don't I do that? And in my case, it's like, okay, maybe I should call back home.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing about routine, though, I think it's just such a weird thing because sometimes I feel like this, like I'm feeling today, just like, well, what's the point of this? Like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, why am I doing this? But humans are definitely creatures of habit, right? We generally, for the most part, most people live very routine lives. People generally like, wake up, brush their teeth, eat breakfast, go to work or go to school, have some fun maybe for a couple hours, go to bed,
Mm.
and that's the thing, right? So, I mean, I definitely know that we do need some routine, otherwise, like, everything's way too unstructured, and, like, what the heck are we doing? But I guess sometimes you do just need breaks from the routine.
Like I think I think we might have briefly mentioned, but it's kind of, you want to also save up, so like travel and stuff while you're like, it gives you like mini goals in life, right? So like you can be doing your job for, I guess you get like 2 weeks off a year or something. So like literally 50 weeks you're grinding, but then you're working towards some sort of goal, right? So like I think the routine you do has to have some purpose in the end, right? I think when you feel like there's no purpose of what you're doing, so I just wake up, like go do this, like I don't know what I'm working towards, then life can start feeling really pointless, because it's just, am I just doing this to live? But there's no, like, it's kind of boring, right? If you don't have a realistic goal. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to find a goal. And also, like, if you find a goal, it might not be achievable, if that makes sense. You
Yeah.
might want to make $100,000 a year, but you could work, and never get to that point.
The other thing too is that I do feel like there's lots of things that I want to do and I want to accomplish in my life, but like it doesn't necessarily mean that I will do them. Sometimes I feel like there's too many things that I want to do and like not enough time.
You could start using your time more wisely.
I guess I just had a thought, but it sort of goes back to, for me personally, I think it sort of related, but I really value stability, right? I don't like change. I really value stability, and I also don't like taking big risks. And I think for me, that's one reason why ideally I like to think that I would want to figure out a career path and then get a good job in a good company and then sort of climb up the ladder there and have this good job in this good company that's stable. That's why I mean, obviously this is what I'm saying now, but things could change in 5,
Yeah.
10 years.
Because it's not really your choice, right? I think a lot of people probably want stability. I don't think anyone's like, wow, I really wish I was always constantly moving and had no idea where I was going.
Well, it's like some people don't care as much, or other people, I just know, like, for example, one of my coworkers at my co-op, like, he sort of has in mind that, like, for maybe the next couple of years he'll stay in this company,
Mm.
but I think he wants to like jump ship in a couple of years and try something different. Whereas like I don't really have that mindset right now. I guess maybe it's just that we're in different places. He
Yeah.
started working and been working for a while. But like for me, I just think right now that I would rather just once I get into a company, I don't think it's unless I was like really unhappy there
Yeah.
or I figured out that something else is what I want to do, that like I don't think I would jump ship and start looking for somewhere else to work kind of thing. Like I think probably once I get into a place, I'd either be too lazy or just like whatever to like want to switch, you know?
Yeah, but I'd say probably like once you work, you'll realize things, right? Like I don't think any workplace will be perfect. So maybe you'll start working, and then after like 2, 3 years, you do realize like, okay, you know what? Like I do want to try something new. Because I think one of the scary things is if you stay at the same place for too long, you start thinking that's the only way to do certain things. That makes sense? Like you just don't get a well-rounded experience if you just are always at the same place. And yeah, like maybe I'm wrong because at the same time, like I've never. Well, I guess like in my case, right, I really wanted to. I knew I wasn't going to do my grad school at Simon Fraser because I didn't want to stay. And not that I had any bad experiences, but it was just I wanted to change things up because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. But yeah, and I don't know, like maybe when you start a job, I feel like it would be the same thing, right? If you work for long enough, you might think, okay, I'm ready for change. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like obviously very realistic. Like that could totally happen. I guess just like at this point. But then again, who even knows? I don't know. I will
Gotta
say
get the
that
job first.
that's true. The other thing though is that right now I just feel like I want to try different things, so I don't even know because I don't even know what I want to do. So I don't know what my next few years are gonna look like. But I'm so glad that I'm technically finally graduating from school. Although I don't know if I'm gonna be able to wake up for my cousin in a day at 9 a.m. It's been a long time coming. It's been freaking 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations, I guess. I think we should always end on like a more positive note and not just wow. So maybe say some encouraging words, Katie, like wow, I can do it.
Um, I just think I'm happy that I'm graduating, and for me, Matt knows I don't like school. I've heard from so many people, like older people, they're always saying like, oh, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss once you start working, you're gonna miss it. But I mean, maybe they're right, but I genuinely, because I don't like school, I genuinely don't think I will feel like I'll miss school.
I feel like you'll just no matter what, I think I'll miss the time. As in, like I had so much extra time during university, just do whatever I wanted to. Because I mean, realistically, you go to lecture, and it's one of those weird things where it's like, oh man, I have lecture from like 9 a.m. to like 3. That's such a long day. But it's like really that's shorter than a work day and stuff like that. And yeah, you get homework and stuff, but at least for me, I never spent too long on homework. It was never like I would say a full-time job would take more time than going to school, at least personally.
Oh no, that's probably it's different, but I do think that like when you're working, it feels like work. You just spend so much time at work. It's pretty much all of your life. But at the same time, it's generally different because work, I guess depending on the work
You're
you
paid.
do. Well, yeah, but like work sort of stays at work, whereas like with school, technically, like you have to do homework, you have to study, you have exams, and it's just a bit different.
I know a lot of people get like exam stress and stuff.
I do.
I never really cared. So.
This one likes writing tests, apparently.
They're always pretty fun.
No. This is the guy who apparently, like, he's the one, I'm the one who's, like, stressing out during the exam, and he's the one, like, looking around laughing at people like
I don't
me.
laugh. Like, I'm not, like, giggling and like a little kid, but it's just funny sometimes. You just look around. Like, and especially now as a TA, when I invigilate and stuff, my job is to just look and, like, see how everyone's doing. And you see some people, like, scratching their heads or, like, getting really frustrated, and you're like, damn, you'll be fine.
You ever get, well, if you fail, you're not so fine, but, you know.
Yeah, true. But, I mean, like, even if you fail, right, it's not the end of the world.
It's not, but it feels pretty shitty.
Yeah, I assume it doesn't feel good, but, yeah.
I would know. But, you know, you get those students, though, that, like, they walked out really early, but you know it's not because they they knew everything and they finished it all.
Yeah, like even when we were students, right, you definitely know if someone walks out after 30 minutes, they definitely didn't finish the exam. It's like they walked out because they couldn't do anything. But yeah. Still, I respect them. You know, you realize you're effed, so you just don't waste all your time trying. Respect.
Well, yeah, I think. I don't know. I really wonder how things will turn out, Matt. I think it'll be very interesting because so much can change in the span of even like a year, right? I think in 5 years, but especially like 10 years from now, I really wonder where we'll be.
Mark your calendars, 2025, June 16th. We'll listen to this again and see if we have changed our life perspective and just realized by that time, you probably will have a job.
I don't know if I'll laugh or I'll cry if I'm a software developer.
I mean, I hope you'll enjoy it, no matter what. I hope you found a job that you actually enjoy. But who knows? The money is also good. So
that's true. It really is hard to sacrifice like money, I think.
But at least like you have that option, right? Like your problem is, oh man, I don't want to know if I should sacrifice the pay that I could get. Whereas there's some degrees out there, like I'd even say for like chemistry and stuff, it's not like that's not my main problem. Like I don't have the option to think like, oh wow, I wish I got paid more.
But I guess this is the end of episode 3.
Thanks for listening, and hope you'll tune in next week.
By this time next podcast, I'll have officially graduated with like my virtual ceremony, whether I attended or not. Well, okay, bye.
Bye.
See you guys next week.